Yeah, hi friends, this is Wasim once again with you, and today we are going to discuss question number 10, which will be the last question in the series of these videos, and we'll be completing all the exam which was held on 6th of August 2020 today inshallah, and we'll be covering all these 10 questions. So let us go with the question number 10. If we look at this question, and the task is reviewing performance, which is the last element of your IGC 1 book. And the question is, you invite the overall store and warehouse manager to a health and safety management review. Based on evidence from the scenario only, comment on how the organization is performing in the following areas. Answer with two related points for each area. If you look at the question here, they have divided the question into small pieces, and each of the part of this question is comprising of 2 marks. So here we are not going to discuss things in more detail, looking at the marks and looking at the information required, and even the examiner is giving you some guideline that you have to provide only 2 points for each of the part of exam here. So guys, the first part is active and reactive monitoring. How the organization is maintaining active and reactive monitoring within the organization. Then second part is the adequacy of current risk assessments, operational procedures and rules, compliance with legal requirements. And the part B of the question is based on evidence from the scenario only. What sources of benchmarking information could you use? So the question again I would say is very straightforward, and let us start. So just starting with part 1, active and reactive monitoring. Guys, if you remember, we all know that active monitoring is where we measure our success within the organization, where we look at all the active measures an organization take before an accident happen to avoid the accidents. So if we go back to the scenario, looking at the active monitoring tools, there is no formal risk assessment, no site inspections, no safety meetings, no training arrangements, no consultations. So there is no active monitoring tool at all to be measured the organizational performance here. Discussing point 2, if we look at the reactive monitoring part, we all know that in reactive part monitoring part, we always look at the failures of the organization, which can be a near miss, an incident, an accident, and all of those things, the legal notices, and all of those things in which the organization failed. So, if we look at those reactive monitoring tools also, there is no incident record maintained, there is no reporting procedure in the organization, no investigations are in place, no benchmarking tools are used, and even the audit function is not in place. So none of the reactive monitoring procedure or tool is in place within the organization. So compiling this point here, uh, you have to say that there is no active or reactive monitoring tools currently available within the organization, and even if you want to go ahead with these tools, there is no data available at all. So this is not possible that you need to go ahead with active or reactive monitoring in these cases. Going to point to the adequacy of risk assessment, it is very clearly shown in the scenario that the risk assessments are not adequate. They are very generic risk assessments done long back, and they are not updated even. They are very generic. They are not activity specific or operation specific risk assessments. And point 2, you can highlight here that even the risk assessments are not suitable and sufficient to identify control of hazards at site. So guys, we all know that suitability and sufficiency is very important for the risk assessment. And when we talk about suitability, it means a risk assessment should be suitable to that specific activity or operation, and sufficiency means it should cover all the hazards associated with that typical activity or site or operation on which you are doing risk assessment. But in this case, Even the risk assessments are very generic and they are not suitable and sufficient to control the hazards at site. So guys, answering part 3 of your question, operational procedures and rules. If we look at the scenario, it is nowhere mentioned that there is some health and safety rule or regulation at site or people have to follow that rule. There is no operational procedures, there is no rule found at workplace, and there is no safe system of work, even no incident reporting, no investigation procedures, no other arrangements found within the organization. So the answer to this question is also very simple and straightforward, that there are no operational procedures and rules in place. Even people are breaking the rules, general rules also. So this is very clear. And moving on to the last part of the question, compliance with legal requirements. It is clearly defined in the scenario that there is no compliance at site. People are breaking all the rules very commonly, and this poor compliance culture is prevailing within the organization, where the incidents and accidents are happening very frequently. Point 2, you can refer here to the visit of the inspector after the accident. When the inspector visited, he even gave them formal notice for improvement, which is evident of non-compliance to the rules and regulations. So this letter which he has given them is basically on many of the non-compliances. The inspector was not at all happy and he issued them an improvement letter, and he said on his next visit he wants things to be improved. We look at part B of this question. Based on the evidence from the scenario, only what sources of uh, benchmarking information could be used. So guys, it is very clear from the scenario, and even our earlier discussions also, we have mentioned that there is no credible data available, and benchmarking is only possible when you have the credible data available. So then only you can calculate the injury rates, the accident rates, the fatality rates, and all of those data, where you have to benchmark that data with the within the industry or in national levels or international levels. But in this case, it is not possible because there is no data maintained for the organization for health and safety. Also, currently there is no record available, so benchmarking is not possible in this case. So, if we look at the overall response to this question, question number 10, most of the things within the organization are missing as per scenario. So the answer to many of the questions was simply no. So this is how we can respond to this question, guys. Hope the things are clear here now. So guys, finally this video series is complete now, and we have solved all the 10 questions. I hope you would have enjoyed, you would have learnt a lot out of these 10 questions. And this is not the end of story, guys. I'll be coming up with many more useful videos for you. The next video I'm thinking on is the important things to be covering and the mistakes people made during 6th of August exam 2020, and how to learn from those mistakes, how to improve those things in the coming exam on 28th of October. So just stay tuned, stay connected, and we'll be meeting up in another video very soon. Goodbye for now. Thank you very much.